Well, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to you, Gary, and blackmeninamerica.com. Out of 100 black websites in the U.S., Black Men in America is ranked number 6. That is unbelievable, man.
It
I
really
mean,
is. It really is when you think about the people ahead of us: BET, Black Planet, Black America Web, Dallas Black, and African America.
yeah. So congratulations, man. One man show.
That's
Great,
right.
great job. Well,
In
first of
little as it
all,
could.
this is our third time out with the new Zoom format, and it's been looking good. Tonight I got this evening, I got a very special guest, a brother out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's a graduate of Clark University. He's been in the struggle for many, many years, but he has taken over as the president of the local chapter of the NAACP in Atlanta, and a guy that is really, really out there doing some great things. And he's in a very difficult position because the things that are going on in Georgia, the state of Georgia, not only Atlanta, man, it just seems to be off the charts. And as many of you know, that we just got through with the Democratic convention. And one of the things I invited him here for is to kind of summarize what he saw taking place this past week in the Democratic convention, and what does this mean about the future of Black America. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my friend, the one and only, Mr. Richard Rose. How you doing, Richard?
This election is, and I think they had a real great lineup of speakers, including obviously former President Obama, and at the end, Biden did a good job of laying out the case, what is on the ballot. Really, the future of our Democratic Republic is on the ballot, and what this president has used race and all kind of demonic actions, positions to solidify his base. And we have to be honest, there is a base in America that's still living in some time that we wish they would wake up. But it's founded. These people are uninformed. Let's just put it politely, at least uninformed. But they still holding on to white supremacist views and almost extreme narcissism, in my opinion. So I think the Democratic Party laid it out. I think what we have to do locally, what we're trying to do in Atlanta and Georgia and other states across this country, is to make sure that we get out and vote. Our vote is our voice for politics. We have to remain vigilant and hold these people accountable. But we have to make our voices heard loud and clear. In Georgia, we have 2 Senate seats up for grab. Regular term, Senator Perdue this is his 6th year, and then we had a Senator Isaacson that resigned because of health, and so they appointed a senator in his place, Kelly Luffer. But of course, she has to stand before the ballot, and the way they do it in Georgia is what they call a jungle primary, where there's no party, but there are 21 people on the ballot. Can you count that high for a ballot? 21 people on the ballot.
Wow.
And so there are some good candidates in that 21 race. Of course, there are some people who are just kind of wasting time and money, but they paid the qualifying fee. So and then we have we got quite a few local races that we have to be concerned with. We got congressional races. Lucy McBath, she's just finishing her first term in December, and so she's up for re-election. We've got a district attorney in a town in South Georgia called Dublin, who wrote a book claiming that Black people's brains are small. Can you imagine that? So he's the incumbent district attorney, so we know what kind of justice is coming out of his office. And so we got things all over Georgia. I think that Georgia is ground zero for the soul of America, and that's the way we're approaching it as we collaborate with other NACP branches and other civic groups around the state to make sure we have a good vote, a great voter turnout. We need to have as well as we did in 2008 for Obama's first term. That's what we need to be doing all over Georgia. So as you mentioned, our governor was the architect of a voter suppression, voter purge campaign, where we sued him 4 times in 6 years with other civil rights organizations to tamp down some of the processes he was using to put people off the voter rolls. We had a name match program, for example, so that if your name was particularly effective for Hispanics. If you were Jose Candelara in Georgia and there was a Jose Candelara in Alabama, he said, okay, they must be the same people, and they took them off the roll. So various techniques like that to continue to suppress the vote, closing down precincts and cutting short the days of early voting, cutting out weekend voting. I think we only got one weekend of voting. Black people have to go to work. I mean, we can't, particularly in a city like Atlanta, where transportation is challenged in normal times. Somebody, they got 2 hours to get off work and go to vote. It's just hard to do that. It's hard to leave work, go vote, come back, especially if you own public transportation. Right. So Georgia still has the mentality that only those who look like them should be voting. Not blacks, not brown, and they are intent on maintaining that system, and we just as intent on overturning that system.
Richard, what I wanted to do, I want to follow up now because I think it was 2016, Georgia had 237 polling places to vote. Now they're down to 37. Plus, Richard, who is going to replace our friend John Lewis?
Well, you can't replace John Lewis. Now somebody else can get in the seat. But so in Georgia, State Senator Kima Williams is on the ballot for November against the Republican. So we expect her to win. Then there's a special election to replace him for his unexpired term, which of course ends in December. And there are about 7 people on the ballot for that. But as I said, you cannot replace John Lewis. We got to grow somebody else up. Hopefully they'll be of the mind to be of service, not just to Georgia, but to all humanity the way John Lewis was. So we're looking, we got that special election is on September 29th. And of course, for the next 2-year term, that will be on the regular November 3rd ballot. But we got to grow up some more leaders, young leaders, and help them and mentor them and try to get them prepared to take over these offices that those of us that came out of the civil rights movement have been holding. And we got some young people across this country. We got to get better in Georgia to help identify and support young people to take over these roles that that's no longer held by the civil rights activists and the civil rights participants. They are aging out. We lost not only John Lewis, we lost C.T. Vivian.
That's right.
A great civil rights leader from SCLC.
We're talking to president of the local chapter of the NAACP in Atlanta, Georgia, Richard Rose. Somebody else may have a question for Richard. Take it.
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me, Mr. Bell?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Rose, how you doing, sir? I hope you and your family are doing well down there in Georgia, with this being the hot spot. Number one, what's going on with the lawsuit with the governor versus the mayor is the first question. A follow-up, if I may.
You said what's going on with what?
With the mayor, with the governor lawsuit against the mayor, as far as wearing
So
face masks.
yeah, the governor dropped that lawsuit.
Oh, smart man.
Yeah,
Got too hot for him, huh?
well, other cities around the state had adopted the same kind of mandates. East Point, Athens, Savannah, and the governor just decided to pick on the mayor of Atlanta. I think because she was getting positive national press, and
Mm-hmm.
so, but the death toll in Atlanta, in Georgia, has expanded, increased so much that he had egg all over his face for even suggesting that we shouldn't have those wearing mask mandates and other social distancing measures. So I think that was part of it. But yeah, he dropped his lawsuit.
Okay, tell me about Angela Staunton King, the black female Republican. Are you familiar with her?
Well, now she's had some issues. I think Trump either pardoned her or commuted her sentence, one or the other, for some financial improprieties. That's about all we know about. I think she was on one of the shows on Bravo, and I'm not. But she's not done much in it politically.
No, I just
So
want to bring this. I just want to bring this to your attention, sir. She's the Republican representative running for against John Lewis' seat. I don't know if you
right,
knew that or not.
exactly. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. We
No,
don't. We
I just
still
asked you
expect.
if you knew about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought you were trying to get some background, but yeah, we know about her. She's on the
Yeah.
ballot. She didn't have any Republican opposition for that seat in the
Mm-hmm.
primary ninth, and so she stands to. Akima Williams will be facing her on the ballot in November 3rd.
Right. All I'm saying, sir, is we need to be learning about these trolls and also these counterintelligent people who are trying to come into our community, especially when they're backed by Trump. And this lady right here is a very dangerous individual. She's been on Roland Martin show, yes. As a matter of fact, she was one of the fools, and I say fools, down there when they had COVID-19 in Oklahoma. And we know Mr. 999 is 6 feet under because he listened to that BS of that clown, the architect 45. So I'm just keeping it 100. We got to make sure anybody out there that's voting for an individual, they need to learn it so we don't get Kanye West or Swift voted. Because I've seen this BS too many times and we are in hostile situations and I'm tired of it. So we have to be learning about what's going on. That's why I asked you about that individual, because she's a very dangerous individual.
Well, I don't disagree with you. As I mentioned, we are working hard to make sure we have a great turnout within our community. That's our focus. Georgia, I think, has the second highest number of counties of any state. We have 159 counties, but there are 17 counties that contain 75% of the black voters.
Right.
So we will be focusing on those to get the turnout, which includes Fulton County, which is the bulk of the 5th congressional district where John Lewis served. And we expect to be. We don't expect. We don't expect a lot support for her. We do expect that Senator Williams will win that seat. Hope to serve adequately throughout. She's a young lady. I think she's in her 40s, so she can have a great career of service. We think. But not only that
Are they
seat.
going to use the center where they play basketball? Would that be a voting precinct, or were they able to get that done?
Yeah, at the Phillips Arena. The Phillips Arena was a precinct last time for early voting. Yeah, so we expect they're gonna come back again. Right now, I think that center is serving as a facility for COVID patients as well. So the Hawks organization has been very supportive for the Atlanta area, and we applaud them for that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
CJ,
Thank you.
I understand. CJ, you want to unmute? You have a comment or a suggestion?
Just as it comes to young voter outreach in terms of, like I said, trying to, I know you mentioned energizing that base of young people, and just my opinion, like I said, on the DNC and how that went in terms of marketing and exciting young people, I think they missed the mark. As someone who's kind of has their pulse on what progressives and young people kind of want in their politics, and I think what the problem and why young people aren't as motivated as others would like them to be in the process is because they're more policy focused, and the Democrats are not very policy focused right now. They're more focused on getting Trump out, and similar to 2016, making it a referendum on Trump. And people would rather have something to vote for rather than just to vote against. And that's the argument that a lot of young people have, and why they're disheartened, and why it's really hard to convince them with just Trump is bad. We already realized that a 4-day convention telling us Trump is bad was kind of, redundant. We wanted to hear some solutions for the country and some policies and how they, wanted to fix things, and didn't get a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Richard?
That's a good observation. But the way our government is organized, bills come out of Congress. Just passed a $25 billion bill for $25 billion to support the post office. And we know the post office is essential for American operations, and it supports a lot of black people's position. Early on, that was one of the few places, particularly in the South, where black folk could get a job because corporate America was not letting us in. And so Congress has to do its job. I think this Congress is doing its job. It has other initiatives, but I think what it shows is that there is unanimity among all of the Democratic Party toward making America better. I don't disagree with you that they may have been not as big on policy as some people would like. But you can't. Policy must come from the intent, and so we know that this president to have policy that will support any kind of in terms of the black community or the brown community, and so it's got to start with that. Sometimes. I'm a baby boomer. My first NAACP protest when I was 13 years old, and you learn that you're not going to get everything you want from a candidate. No candidate is perfect. No voter is perfect. No position is perfect. The politics says you have to work and collaborate and try to work toward where you're trying to get to. I'm hoping that young people will get energized.
Oh,
Yeah, look like we lost a little bit of audio.
well, I can respond to some of that,
Go ahead.
actually.
Go ahead.
I think the main thing, like I said, that would
Somebody
get
take over Atlanta.
Being on the road.
Go ahead, CJ.
Okay, yeah, I think just to respond to some of that, I think the main thing that would get young people actually policy focused is policy. It would get young people excited is policy, because right now what we have a Biden. I understand that no candidate is perfect, and we also have the Congress and everything to worry about, and that's a whole nother issue. That we also have another issue with Democratic policy. The Democratic establishment working against progressive candidates in Congress and the Senate in those races. So we can't even get the ideas we want there. But we're not looking for Joe Biden to become Bernie Sanders. We're just looking for anything. So it's not like we understand, he's not the perfect candidate, but at the same time, you have to offer something other than just not being Trump. For some people, that's just not enough. You have to offer some sort of solution for the country, some sort of vision going forward. Biden doesn't really have an agenda for the first 100 days for day one. I want to know what he's going to do. I understand that I don't like Trump either, but I want to know what you're offering as an alternative. And to offer nothing but not being Trump is a pretty low bar, and it's not going to target all the biggest untapped voter base is the young people and the people that don't vote, the large groups of people that sit at home. And to motivate those people to come vote, you need to convince them how their lives are going to get better.
Okay, I agree
So,
with you.
so let me just say this about that. The young people did not support. Bernie Sanders was big on policy. They didn't come out to vote for him. So if in fact they're interested in policy, young people need to come out and participate. You got to participate. You can't sit back and wait on it. You know, Bernie would have done much better if young people had voted. They did not vote across this country.
They
Even for
overwhelmingly
Bernie
voted for Bernie over Biden.
They did not come out in numbers. Look at the stats.
And I do respect, so I disagree with you because just be honest, those emails came out. The Democrat Party was working with Debbie Wasserman Schultz against Bernie. Now we can sit up here. We got to be intellectually honest about this. Now, come on, I'm with the brother right here, the young man. You know, a lot of Bernie people say they were not going to come out and support.
Look at the vote. Look at yeah.
Let's be honest now. Come on, let's be honest.
But look now, I'm looking at the numbers. Let me tell you what I do it for a living. I'm a CPA. I look at the numbers. The numbers. Young people did not vote, and they need to vote more. I mean, if young people would vote 65, 70, 75%, it would make a big difference. But that's not what argument.
And all due respect, sir, we heard this argument back in the day in the 60s when it was people upset with Dr. King. Everybody didn't love Dr. King. And you know that being in Georgia, sir. I'm not being arguing with you, but come on, let's be honest about this. Because a lot of the times when those Russians got involved in the election, and a lot of people was like, what's going on? The Democrat Party dropped the ball with Deputy Washington Schultz, and that was Obama appointed. That's what pissed me off. These guys are sitting up here want to just hold a little piece of the pie, and Hillary thought it was going to be a darn coronation. So we just disagree. Democrats right now need to get on the ball and reach out to the young folks because they really dropped the ball in 2016 when it came to election, especially with cross-check. You had a lot of young people being crossed off the list, and I was upset with President Obama's wife because cross-check lost a lot of votes because of people's names and everything. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So come on, we got to be intellectual.
I talked about that earlier, but let me say this: I'm not defending.
One at a time.
I'm not defending the Democratic Party. I'm not. That's not what I'm about voting. I'm just reciting to you what the numbers were of people voting. Demographically, young people did not come out and vote in numbers to prove that they were interested in Bernie Sanders' policies. That's just a fact.
And a lot of the young people was upset because of the way Bernie Sanders was being treated.
Yeah, the way the mainstream media and the party treated Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Come on, let's be honest now. We have a conversation. We got to let you honest about this. I mean, we can talk
still overwhelmingly, yes, young people don't vote overwhelmingly, but at the same time, overwhelmingly, they voted for Bernie Sanders as compared to Biden. If you look at those numbers in terms of the percentage of young people who voted for Biden as opposed to Sanders, it's overwhelming in Sanders' favor.
And when they picked Tim Kaine, that was the worst person they could have picked for the vice president. And I'm here in Virginia. That guy's a clown. I mean, if anything, should have went and picked Bernie Sanders for the VP. They would have got more votes.
And that's how you unify the party.
He was worse. And I know Tim Kaine in Virginia. The guys, don't get me started. Don't even get me started with him.
Okay, Gary, come on, move on, Gary.
All right, let's have Mr. Rose wrap up. Just give us some summary final comments.
One thing, hold it before we let Richard go. I want to Richard. One of the things about we as a people, especially the black folks in America, we don't seem we can trust. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat, man, on either side of the aisle. You know, here we got Republicans and Democrats going on breaks. What are they going on breaks, man? And we got people losing their jobs, no unemployment. We got people about to lose their homes and be out the streets. We're talking about millions of people, and they going on break, Richard, and then they got to be called back to sit down and try to resolve these issues. So who can we trust? Because we don't. I think one thing, Richard, we need to start having 2 terms. You know, 2 terms, just like the presidential thing. We can't have these Democrats and Republicans staying around 20, 30, 40 years, becoming billionaires, and when it's time to help the people that they're supposed to be representing, they go on vacation. Do you think we should have 2 terms, Richard?
Well, let me say this. You know, they normally have an August break. Now that's the norm. And there's so much already passed from the House sitting in the Senate desk that's good for the people. We got to do what we did in Atlanta. We got to elect the right people. Atlanta and Georgia, we got to change the Senate, the 2 Senate representatives, and we got to find somebody else like you mentioned earlier that will support the community and work for the community the way John Lewis did. It's about who's up there. But it's also about voting. 25% of the elected, the eligible voters cannot be the ones that pick who's in power. We got to do a better job. You know, that was one of the main objectives of the Ku Klux Klan, was their reign of terror was to keep black people from voting and destroy us economically. We cannot follow that policy by sitting around talking about, well, this email and the mainstream media. I didn't wait on the mainstream media when I hit the streets at the age of
Let's let Richard close it out. Gary, let's let Richard close it out with your hand.
Okay, we can get his audio. If he can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello.
We got you.
So yeah, I encourage people to, hey, as John Lewis said, if you see something, say something. Do something about it. Let's make America work. We hope follow suit. Let's make it work for black folk in America. This is our country. We helped build it. We need to get our fair share.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. That was Richard Rose, president of the local chapter in Atlanta of the NAACP. Richard, thanks for taking time. We know you're on the road, but we'll have you back again real soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So
you wonder why white young folks don't vote. And you wonder why young folks don't vote. I mean, in all due respect, he's been intellectually dishonest. I'm sorry. I know you suggest yours, Mr. Bell, but this is the reason why a lot of young folks don't vote, because I'm trying to be
What are you saying? Why they don't vote, Reggie?
Well, like I said, what a young man can explain to you what happened with Bernie Sanders, I just do a follow-up. Go ahead, young man. I forgot your name, sir.
CJ.
Oh, CJ. Yeah.
CJ
I mean,
can do a lot better than me.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a lot of that. Like saying that young people didn't support Bernie Sanders is kind of crazy, because we're the only people that supported Bernie Sanders. That was kind of the issue, and what was the frustration, because mainstream media was calling him some crazy like communist and how he wasn't electable, and they wouldn't have any Bernie panel. There'll be a panel talking about the primary with 4 Biden surrogates and 0 Sanders surrogates to discuss it. So obviously, like there was a huge. There was a whole documentary Vice did about the Bernie media blackout, how he almost got no favorable media compared to Biden. Biden had all his opponents drop out the day before Super Tuesday and endorse him to coalesce all of those votes, or he would not have been able to even beat Bernie if Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar and every other centrist didn't drop out the day before, throw their endorsement behind Biden, all in an effort to stop Sanders. So it's not a conspiracy. It's just the party is aggressively against progressives. And that progressives is the type of politics that young people identify with. As he said, as he was leaving, 25% of the electorate shouldn't determine the election. Well, I agree with that, but to target that 75% that doesn't vote, you need to do that with policy. You can't just do decency porn for 4 days and say we're better than Trump, we're more moral, but not give any details on how. Like people want to know, what are you going to do for my health care? You can't just say, we want to expand Obamacare. That's very vague. Like, what does that mean exactly? You don't want Medicare for all. So that is telling young people, your best healthcare plan still leaves over 10 million people uninsured. And that's going to be a lot of us. So we're seeing through the flowery talk. I like a nice speech. Obama gives great speeches. I'm not against the speeches, but I would like some substance behind it. We are the generation that mobilized, and he was the first president we got to vote for, and we mobilized and forced to vote for him. And we don't feel like he adequately fought for us once he was elected. I'm not saying it was all his fault and he didn't have crazy resistance in other circumstances, but it is what it is. We put him in office. He ran on change. He didn't do a lot of change. He was kind of safe and centrist. And he himself said he governed pretty much like a moderate Republican. That's not what we signed up for. Like, I mean, I understand the political chess and trying to, do that, but we signed up for change and you govern like a moderate Republican. That's not what we voted for. So to then come around and wag your finger at young voters and say, why don't you vote for Biden? We voted for Obama. Like, we're not Republican voters over here. We want progressive politics. We want progress. We don't want to go back to 2008. We also don't want to go back to 1968 with the Republican Party. We want just some policy, and it doesn't have to be radical. Joe Biden, if he came out for legalizing marijuana and releasing nonviolent drug offenders related to that, that'd be a huge step. That's not Medicare for all. That's not free college. That's not Bernie Sanders' platform. But as he said, we're not expecting a perfect candidate, but we are expecting some sort of olive branch. And for the convention to tailor to John Kasich and Colin Powell and have all these Republicans and only give Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 60 seconds to do some procedural BS and not even give her a speech is a slap in the face of progressives. She is the rising star and the voice of the party for progressives. So to give her a pre-recorded procedural 60 seconds was and to give John Kasich a feature spot, like he's literally a Republican. So what you're telling me is you're willing to move the Democratic Party right to cater to Republicans rather than try to bring the Republicans over to the left. So that's why so many Republicans are so comfortable with Biden, because he's basically saying, I will govern as a moderate, non-crazy Republican rather than Trump, who's going to be an insane, asshole.
And my thing, Mr. Bell, that's a young person talking. And see, that's what pissed me off. Nothing against your friend down in Georgia, but see, that's the problem. People don't want to listen to what the progressives have to say. And again, they sabotaged Bernie Sanders in 2016. It's been proven. And Obama's favorite president was Reagan. He said it himself. His favorite president was Ronald Reagan. That's what he patted himself after. So I'm just saying, hey, I get tired of people talking about young people, and Ms. Obama did the same thing. Young people didn't come out and vote. But cross-check, cross a bunch of them out. And a whole lot of Bernie people say, we're going to set this up because you are mistreating Bernie Sanders. So just be intellectually honest about what's really going on. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let me say this. Number one, right out of the bat, I said that if Joe Biden was going to pick anyone, it should have been Bernie Sanders, or what's the girl's name? Ellen, what's the name?
Stacey Abrams.
Oh, Elizabeth
the white girl.
Oh, Klobuchar?
No.
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah,
that would have been my pick. Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. That would have been my pick. And I've been telling folks all the time, do not expect Joe Biden to rescue black folks. That's not going to happen, man. So, it's not, taking sides with Richard or anything. We got a problem in our own backyard that we got to deal with, that we have not dealt with for over decades. I mean, we were forewarned in 1968 with the Kerner Report that we were headed for two different Americas, one black and one white. And what did we do? We sat on our butts and did absolutely nothing. 50 years later, we still talking about we shall overcome. That's the number one theme song in America, we shall overcome. We got to take responsibility for some of this, and nobody has supported the young folks like I have. I've said this, the young folks gonna have to turn this around. We got to get these old heads out of there, man, because they're selling us out. They're selling us out, man, from one end to another. And we need young people to come in and take over this thing.
And then they're blaming us for it. Who do you think they blamed for Hillary losing in 2016? It was sexism, it was Russia, and it was young people, all us Bernie people. And then 2020, if Biden blows this, guess who they're going to blame? The people that they didn't cater to at the convention, the people they're not listening to on policy, or the people that they're going to blame for not voting for them instead of trying to cater to them, instead of trying to cater to Republicans at the Democratic convention. I don't need a diet Republican convention. Like, they're already having one.
You know what might be a good idea? Something to consider is to have CJ maybe assemble a panel of young people to educate and enlighten us for a show.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
CJ,
Hey, I'm backing you, CJ, all the way, brother. I'm riding with you, CJ. I'm a 61-year-old man, but I'm rolling with you, bro.
Appreciate it.
so I'm thinking, CJ, you might, if you could get back with me and just get maybe just two other people to help educate and enlighten us, because clearly there's some blind spots.
Yeah, it's some of it's a legit blind spot, but for the party and the people in charge, it's not a blind spot. It's very, very intentional of the snubbing of the progressives. Like I said, it's not just at the presidential level. It's in Congress right now. There's a race in Massachusetts right now where Joe Kennedy is trying to take Ed Markey's seat, and Ed Markey is a progressive Democrat. Nancy Pelosi made a very big deal about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and progressive Democrats and not challenging incumbent Democrats.
Squad.
She said she won't support anyone that challenges an incumbent Democrat. Nancy Pelosi not only donated to Joe Kennedy's campaign, but she also endorsed him. So she's showing that they're full of shit. Like they're against progressives in any way, and they will endorse opponents to get rid of progressives within their own party. So that's even more frustrating. It's not that we're not trying to get into politics. It's not like we're not trying to gain influence in the party, go through the proper channels. We don't have that big money. If we're not running on special interest, Nancy Pelosi is going to be able to outraise progressives anytime. So that's the battle. It's not that young people aren't interested in the process. When they do get in the process, the party goes out of their way not to welcome and invite young people and progressives into the party. They go out of their way to crush them.
Thank you.
These are the things that a lot of boomers or older voters, your insights of things that people don't see or don't know. And so I think it would be a great panel if you could have your voice and a couple of others, just, because you're standing on a different street corner, but we're all want the same thing.
I understand that, but it's also very simple. As I kept saying, it's all about policy. Think about all the young people and why they supported Bernie Sanders. It wasn't because of his dashing good looks and his personality. He's a 78-year-old Jewish guy who only talks about policy. It's not for some celebrity wow factor. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for, what is he going to do? He's talking about Medicare for all, free college, ending the wars, legalizing marijuana, things that are popular in the party. Even, like I said, Medicare for all, they did a poll before Biden did his policy platform that Medicare for all is supported by 77% of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden is firmly against it, said he would even veto it if it got to his desk. So when we see that, there's really nothing on the menu for progressives. So that's why they're not voting. That's why that 75% of people are staying home. So if you target and mobilize that group of people instead of Bush era Republicans, you could landslide Donald Trump easily.
Thank you.
As we head into November, I tell you, we better get it together. We better get it together quick and in a hurry, because I tell you, 4 more years of Donald Trump it's gonna kick our ass. It's gonna knock us off the map, man. This man does not care anything about others but himself. All he cares about is himself, and it's shown all over and over again. I don't know why we can't come together collectively and understand what is going on. To understand that we need young people in the thing. One of the things that really gave me hope when we had all these women all of a sudden come into politics. And I'm looking at these women and what they're saying out their mouths. They got more balls than some of these men. And they're Xing them out. They don't want them out there and out front. They should be out front, man. Just like our young people. We can't turn this around, man, without them. You can't. It's not gonna happen. And yeah, but while I got it, I want to talk about this police brutality and racism that has been going on in our country forever. You know, this didn't just start last year, 10 years ago. We're still fighting police brutality, and these guys are not learning. They're still out there shooting our young people and black men. They're not, I don't understand where the training is coming from. I don't understand where the leadership is coming from, man, because it's been going on for much too long. They just had a piece come out called the 100 and the 24. I told you about it, Gary, the 24, police brutality. How police was back just before the Wall Street massacre. They killed over almost 40 black infantrymen for things that should never have happened. And then this history has been suppressed. We don't know our history. That's one of our problems. They are suppressing our history. And until we start learning, man, exactly who we are and where we came from, man, we got a problem.
That seems to be a big problem. I just saw a video, I think it was last night, of another black man. He wasn't unarmed, but he was a black man
with a knife.
With a knife.
Yeah. Walking away from him.
Yeah.
Walking away from him.
Yeah, there are other ways, I think, to disable him from going into that store without 11 bullets.
That's right.
There are countries where their cops don't carry guns and they handle situations like that. I've seen videos in the UK of them boxing in someone like that with riot shields. Like, there are creative ways other than just saying, all right, this is getting out of hand, let's just shoot the guy.
Mm-hmm. It's always black men. It's always black men. And you look at these videos and stuff, and who's doing the shooting? It's white cops. It's white cops, man. Black cops deserve some of this responsibility, to take responsibility to try to turn some of this stuff around. I done seen it for much too long, man. And we got problems right here in Washington, D.C. I went down to the city council and to protest the hiring of the new police chief, because he had a history of domestic violence. He had a history of being an alcoholic. He had a history of taking records out of the property room. And they confirmed him anyway. And information was given to Mervyn Bowser, to Eleanor Holmes Norton, to Murray Che about this guy's history. And plus, he did an expose on Channel 5 on this guy. And we still put him in office. And the 3 years he's been there, crime has gone up. But this is on us, man, because we keep putting these politicians in place that are playing games with the black community, don't have any respect for the black community. And it's happening too much, man.
Amen.
That's also a reminder that, and CJ brought it up, I think, on one of the previous shows, that really change is happening at the local levels in your community, getting involved locally. People keep thinking presidential, but we're talking from school board to judges to, those are the people that have an impact on the people in our neighborhoods and in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Got to start from the grassroots. You have to start from the grassroots and up, because like I said, it's so much locally that needs to change, but it is also at the top as well. Like I said, federally, and like I said, the Democrats are also becoming an obstacle when they're supposed to be our team, and that's the problem. If the Republicans are the opposition, like, we need the Democrats to not be resisting us as well. We're fighting two demons, as they say. Nina Turner put it great on CNN. She was on Anderson Cooper, said we got to slay the dragon of neo-fascism in Trump, but also the dragon of neoliberalism in Biden. Like, there's still a problem on both sides, and I feel like it's so demoralizing to be fighting the Democrats, and they're supposed to be they used to be the party of the people, but they're sliding more and more right, and trying to get change at the local levels is hard when you can't get that change you need at the federal level as well. So it goes hand in hand, but I just try to say we got to just focus on one race at a time. And like I said, focus on the Democrats, because we need Democrats who won't lose or fold to Republicans. It's not just about electing any Democrat. I hate that any blue will do or whatever. Like, no, I don't want blue that is more right-wing than whatever the Republican option is. Like, it's not
they
any
call yellow dog Democrats.
Politicians that have
yellow dog Democrats.
yeah, they're blue dog Democrats. I don't want a bunch of Joe Manchins and stuff like that. So like, no, like, I want the quality of the candidates at every level needs to be vetted. We need to focus more on primaries than general elections, because once the primary is set, the corporate weak folding candidate could already be installed and lose to the Republican. I don't want any more weak Democrats. So the Republican Party is not going to offer us any change. I say you target the Democrats and primary by primary, get them out. Like Mr. Bell said, they're playing games with us. They're not serving us. They feel like since the Republican Party is so racist, they don't really need an agenda other than not being openly racist. And it's going to need more than that. We need to start demanding more than that.
Amen. You know,
One of
audience
the
out of me.
things, as we get ready to get out of here, since we're running out of time, I want to say, man, there's you know, we don't trust each other. That's one of the main things going on in our community. I remember with this congressman who I'm still in touch with, you know, I had run into him and I found out, you know, we had a lot in common. We hooked up, and I had a group of my community people down to his office. He invited us to his office. This is a black guy now. And we invited us to it. It blew his mind. He said, man, I have never had a group come in here not looking for something. Oh, we were there just to help him, but we don't trust each other. He said he never had anybody, and that's what it's been all about. It happened out in PG County with Glenn Ivey. He didn't know what he was doing as a state's attorney. I had a group of community people out there met with him for 2 hours to help him along. He never followed up. We don't trust each other. This goes on and on and on, man. So CJ, you're right on the one. You're right on the ball, man. What I'm saying is, man, until some of us old heads can get our act together, man, we still gonna be playing these games. These games still gonna be played on us. The Tim Scotts are still gonna be showing up in South Carolina, and you know, they all around us, man. And all just because they got a black face, like I say, every black face you see ain't your brother, and every white face ain't your enemy, man. We got to know and understand, be able to tell who the enemy is. We don't know who the enemy is right now.
That's why I'm laser focused on policy and not personality. I don't need all the flair. I don't need the nice speeches. What are you offering on paper? What policies are you going to fight for? I don't care about your skin color. I don't care about your age. I don't care about your sex. Like, I care about what you're going to do in office, because you're there to represent the people. Like, that's it. Like, you're there to get our agenda, and, you know, for Congress or Senate, whatever level. So that's what people are focused on. Like, if you're not talking policy, you're not really talking anything.
All right. Let's go around the horn very quick. Anybody with final words? And
Keith Winstead is out there. We ain't heard from you, Keith.
Can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we can hear you. And we can see you.
Thank you. One thing I noticed is people talk about young people don't vote, people talk about certain people, but the people who do vote, if they know one person who is not registered, who does not vote, and they get with that person and have them registered and take them to vote, we wouldn't lose any elections.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're doubling the black people that would vote. And also Obama's, you know, what happened with Obama, the first 2 years were great, but then he lost the Senate after the second year. And Mitch McConnell said, I'm gonna make you fail. And he had control of the Senate, and he was in charge. So anything Obama tried, the Republicans.
Gosh, what is she doing? Come on. What you doing?
Then we hear somebody. I see Juanita out
Somebody
there.
wanted to get in there.
Yeah, somebody wanted to get in. Okay. Well, Gary, you got control of that. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I got it muted. We good. We good.
Okay. But
Well,
anyway, it's
You got
time,
the
Gary, it's
trolls
time to
coming
wrap
at
it up. Keith, thank you so much, Keith.
Got the trolls coming on Zoom.
Hey, I know me, sorry.
That's all right.
Hey,
That's all right. We getting ready to wrap up. And
I guess listening.
and I would encourage CJ, you can give us a tutorial, not you, but you know, I think all of us on this call, and I think others who would come on would welcome to hear more voices like yours. So think about inviting a couple of your friends to come in and share, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, and just share with us about what's going on.
Yeah, I can reach out to some people and make that happen. Like I said, yeah, we can get that going easily.
Yeah.
It'll start 10, but it'll go 20 and 30 and 40 again. They gonna roll. Young folks gonna roll.
But you know what? That's good. That's good.
You
I
better get
mean,
out
it's
that way.
just
They
about
gonna roll.
yeah, like what was just said, it's about mobilizing people, but you have to give them a reason to vote. Going to, register somebody to vote and doing all that, like they got to be motivated to do that. People are busy, people are tired, they work, they have jobs, they have lives, they got kids. You got to give people a really good reason to stop their lives and go vote for someone. And if they don't think that person's going to make their lives better, they might just take a nap. They might just, do something else. It's a pandemic out here. They might not want to risk that. You've got to give people something to vote for and not just something to vote against. We talked about that case with the guy who got shot with a knife, but my friend, my friend who's a cop who I grew up with back in the day, but we always have conversations about it, and I'm trying to get him on, but because of his job, he's a little dicey about wanting to get his opinions out. But we have some very, very good debates back and forth from his perspective as a cop currently in the city, and me, who's more of the left wing perspective. And we have very good substantive debates. So I'm trying to get him on here to get his perspective as a young black cop, that's working right now, trying to work his good within the system and his opinions on what's going on versus, the activists and the demands to defund the police and all that.